Yep.
Hey,
It's looking
We
good.
are live, right?
I keep spilling stuff.
Yeah. So is there anybody in the chat yet? I don't see. I'm not seeing chat pop up. Or are we actually live?
I don't think you're live. I thought we
Perfect.
What?
Wow, look at this campaign. We're very, very excited. It's a very humbling thing to see. The funding levels are just crazy.
Absolutely.
We're equally excited about the game. You know, Cloudspire is coming together very, very nicely, as we are about the funding, and it's just all of it just put together. It's just all the feels. I have all the feels, guys.
All the feels. He needs to ramp it down a little bit here. He was running around here like crazy. No, we have a lot of team. Everyone's on board helping out right now, and it was that way yesterday and into the night and into the morning, and yeah. So
we were here till about 5:30 a.m. last night, this morning, whatever. So we're running on about an hour and a half of sleep. But if you like what you see in the campaign, just a big shout out to our entire Chip Theory team, Melanie and Heather and Anthony's ridiculous artwork that I still can't fathom how he pulls that off. We've got Amanda and Shannon. You guys know Shannon from from all her help on probably Too Many Bones rules. So
Stanza will be joining us on the comments.
So Shannon / Stanza is hanging out in the comments, helping answer maybe smaller questions that don't necessarily need a video response. So this is a total team effort, and hopefully that comes through in the quality of the campaign. So
you take a look at the campaign and you can tell that we've stepped it up a notch from the last one. So
I want to also make sure we give a shout out to John in our warehouse and Andrew, who's our replacement components and tickets and whatnot. I think we got all the names, but we have a team, and they are it's just an exciting thing.
No, they're doing great, and it's funny. I walked back and I passed Andrew, and he's looking through the campaign. He's literally like, "This is the first time I've actually seen any of these graphics. Like, this is really cool," because he has had his head down, doing replacements. Making sure everyone's taken care of. Same with Amanda. So great.
Yeah, so big thanks to everybody who's not in front of the camera right now. They do all the dirty work that allows us to be in front of you talking to you guys. So
we also have a guy, overseas, Andrew Chesney. He is preparing for Essen.
That's another big one.
Flying out to Essen on Monday. This is unbelievable. We've never flown overseas as a team.
Some genius planned this campaign with Essen right in the middle, just like we wanted. Nope.
No.
But we're gonna roll with it. So off we go. Anyway, so to the topic at hand, Cloudspire. What's up? So the first thing you're probably gonna notice is that we don't have any neoprene on the table.
This is pretty thin neoprene right here.
Yeah, this is our brand new 0.5 millimeter neoprene.
Not even.
No, hopefully you've had a chance to check out the overview video in the actual campaign, which was done by Seth over at Lonely Man BG. We only got one set of our full-size neoprene prior to the campaign, and we basically shipped it directly to him. We took some photography of it ourselves, and then we shipped it directly to him to do that overview video. So we're working with paper. We expect to have some more prototype neoprene in the next 48 hours. So pay no attention to the thin paper on the table.
It's a little depressing actually, but
it is what it is.
It is what it is.
It is. So
I'm sure there's lots of questions coming in. Do you have anything you want to?
No, let's dive right in.
I think so. So. Everything's moving along nice. So
we've got our team kind of helping us queue up the questions. So if we're reading them off and we skip you, I apologize. But we'll make sure we try and get everyone here. First question is: will there be a demo of Cloudspire at Essen? Yes, we will have components there. We will have art to show. We have a lot to show off. I'm not sure how much gameplay we can.
I think we'll have enough to take them through, and give them a feel of things. It's just, we were trying hard to get the artwork in place and the pieces together. The die cutting on the neoprene is a very, very meticulous process. It doesn't cut like cardboard would die cut. It's much harder, and so that process has taken us a lot longer to work through from start to finish and get something that's consistent and that fits together nice. And so yeah, like whether we can get all of that stuff aligned before Essen is a little bit unknown yet, but we're going to try to have at least some things to give you a good idea. At Essen, so.
Stop by the booth.
Absolutely.
And we'll
Absolutely.
definitely have some stuff to show. Whether it's a full demo or not remains to be seen.
Yep.
So.
Really quick, for everyone over there, we are super, super excited to meet each and every one of you. I have never personally been overseas, and I please do stop at the booth, just like JW said. I would love to meet you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. You guys, EU accounts for almost half of our
Almost.
backers. It
Yeah.
is awesome.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Will there be any sort of campaign mode for solo/co-op? I love what you did with Too Many Bones with Age of Tyranny. Hoping there is something similar here. So yes, there is a solo campaign and a co-op campaign. They're handled a little bit differently than than Too Many Bones. Most of the randomness in Cloudspire is based on tile draws, event card draws, relic card draws, point of interest exploration, and also drawing random units and
Like from the market.
Yeah, from the market
Yep.
and things along those lines. So the campaign itself is very, very story-driven in a much more concrete fashion than Bones. We made Bones a more concrete story kind of after the fact. With Undertow and Age of Tyranny, we were able to infuse that with more concrete story details. But Cloudspire is really a fully defined narrative. We're working with Ryan Howard, who did a lot of the editing on our Too Many Bones cards. He also wrote a handful.
The encounters.
If you have 40 Days in Daylore and you've encountered Trevor.
Trevor.
Yeah,
Trevor.
and also Wedding Crashers with the Pebbly Tears of the Golems.
Yep.
Both of those encounters were written by Ryan Howard. We're working with him. He's writing kind of the full story around Cloudspire.
Yep.
The solo and co-op campaigns will have a full narrative on a full page in the scenario booklet, and then a gameplay scenario for you to set up and play as well. So yes to a full solo and co-op campaign. No to it looking like Age of Tyranny, but there will be some carryover things that depending on what objectives you complete.
Yep.
We'll be posting a full solo or a example solo and scenario.
Yep.
That's what we're looking for.
Like Undertow, where we did the spotlights throughout the campaign, we'll be really touching much more heavily. You can imagine if you look at the campaign page right now, and we're trying to fit. There's so much more to fit into there, and at some point it just gets to be overload. So we don't want to put it all in that page, even though there's so much more to prove that we have a lot of that there. So anyways, we'll handle that in an update, in a spotlight. We'll touch on solo co-op. We'll probably be posting later today or tomorrow kind of a little heads up on what those spotlights are going to be, the subjects, and when they might happen. So that should help.
Might being a key operative word with us being in Europe for a week. But we have plans. We will be posting a lot more information
via
daily updates and that kind of thing. With Undertow, we committed to daily updates, and at about the 3/4 mark of the campaign, we kind of died. I needed a 2 or 3 day break from those. So anyway.
I think we sucked literally all the creative talent out of this guy for a period of time. His vocabulary just plummeted. And, it was very interesting to watch.
It was a good time.
Rather not do it again though.
It was a good time.
Yeah.
Tell us about the inception of this game. That's for you guys. This one's been brewing for a while.
It has been brewing. It has been brewing. I think so. We've always been fascinated. I've always been fascinated with some of the different aspects of the visual board, and as we've been working with die cutting on the TMB and all of the Gearlock mats, it's developed into something where we wanted to see if we could do some world building with that. Beyond that, there's always been an interest in a number of games that that Adam and I, it seems like we always get kind of pulled back to some of our roots with like Spirit Wars and some of those others, and like old games you wouldn't really even know or recognize. A lot of them are gone for a millennia, but yeah, I mean, just so
and
like
a lot
that,
of them weren't even popular when they were out. Like,
and they're games that were on the PC, so that's why.
Yeah, PC games. Yeah, not a lot of console or board gaming.
Yeah.
Yep. But anyways, so there's a little bit of that in this. Adam and I did a lot of League of Legends, and there's some aspects of that in here too. There's a few similarities. It's kind of an interesting fusion. When we started developing it, we were like, okay, how do we take like a tower defense that we've looked at what's out there and been like, I think we can improve upon this, but then I don't know. Tower defense is just most people that you ask, it comes off very surface level. I mean, I've got an app I've got a game on my phone. It was 99 cents, and that's it. Like it's the depth isn't there, and so we were just like, how do we take this a little bit more toward like MOBA and League of Legends style, but then work in some kingdom building and like some of the stuff that we really love doing with like the TMB mats, the gear locks. The gear lock in this case kind of becomes the fortress, and so you've got these die cut dice and upgrades and advancements that you're making within your fortress that affect a lot more than just what's inside your fortress. So yeah, from those things it kind of started to develop further.
Can you talk a little bit more about, like, so for example, if I'm playing the Brahmin and I want to upgrade my fortress, what sorts of things might I be looking at in terms of improving my situation?
Yep. So with your fortress, and again, these are all neoprene fortresses that kind of lock into the very end of, after building out the world, you're kind of placing your fortress. It has to link up to a path. And during the game, you're not only setting and deciding what minions you're going to deploy and what order they're going to deploy in, but you're also kind of deciding when you should upgrade your fortress or your spires. So spires are out on the board in the world, either defending or sometimes even kind of creating some assault on the other fortresses. But the upgrades for each faction are very, very asymmetrical. So for instance, the Brahmin, the upgrades are very much linked to the minion development. So as you make upgrades within your fortress, you're flipping your minions over to their upgraded sides, and you're able to summon those or deploy those as upgraded minions. That's only the Brahmin. So there's a whole nother way of upgrading that has nothing to do with fortress advancements for other factions. So, for instance, the caste system within the heirs, it relies more on your performance of your minions and your ability to protect them as they go and interact with other minions, and they may see an upgrade right in the middle of the onslaught phase. The Narora are very different, again, where there isn't really an upgrade. It's a one side or the other, kind of a light and dark, and you decide which one to deploy them in. And so yeah, there's like very different types of upgrades, which has been and is going to still be one of the biggest challenges, I would say, for balancing and whatnot. So, but I mean, we're having fun with that task. But then you have some similarities too. So they each have a gate port, and the gate port builds into the lore. They're islands in the sky. The gate port is basically their way of bringing supplies and units from the world up to these islands. And so each faction has a gate port. But some can be advanced or upgraded differently, and they affect different things within the market. So they all have a gate port and affect market in different ways. So there's some similarities in that regard, but most of it is very, very different in what the upgrades are doing. So yeah, you have a source drill, an assembly, an honor pit. A lot of these, again, tied to the minions, but like the source drill ties to your spires, granting you source for the more spires you have on the board after each wave. So yeah, I mean,
that's an awful lot of them for each fortress, and they're all unique. Everything is unique on the fortress. It's unbelievable.
Yep.
You know what, we're getting behind our
Yeah,
questions,
yeah,
you
sorry.
guys.
That was a
we
long
got carried
explanation.
away here. Thank you for being patient with us. Keaton Benson asked a while back, so we're playing catch up
Yep.
now. If I have premium health for TMB, will I need premium health for Cloudspire?
Obviously.
You will not
Obviously, no.
need. If you take a look at our components listing, guess what? There's only
Guess what?
65
I'll
health
tell
chips
you.
needed. Therefore, you're going to take your 65 from TMB if you want to put it in Cloudspire. We recommend having a set for each one of your boxes, obviously. But yeah, these health
it works.
You won't want to regret anything.
These
Yeah, right.
health chips
Right.
will be a little different.
Graphic-wise,
the graphic, yeah.
the graphic
So
will be
it'll be
different.
more in tune with perhaps the Cloudspire theme, but other than that,
Yes,
perfectly
you can
functional.
use them. You
Yep.
can use them. And it's the right amount, is what he was saying.
Yeah, 65 for Cloudspire, 65 for Too Many Bones. Yeah,
Right.
you got
So, Juiced is asking, is it possible to fit all the add-on content of Cloudspire inside the base box? Obviously, we try our best to do just that. The 2 add-ons right now that are coming, we are able to plan for. But obviously, if the campaign just explodes and we're unlocking a lot of content, this happened with Undertow a little bit, and we were like, okay, now we're like literally making the box bigger just for add-on or extra content that we're adding. And at some point that needed to, kind of resolve itself, and then,
Right.
We had to relegate certain things to another box. So while I can say for us it's always planned in, we try to give it as much room as possible. For instance, chip trays right now, I think those are listed on the what's in the box. Yep. So those chip trays, the nice ones from Undertow, we're using
the
again
ones that
within
you want
this
us
game.
to sell separately.
Right.
We know.
We know. But yeah, so those are included in this with extra room. So you'll have a lot of chips, space in there for extra chips. Same with the dice tray. There's not nearly the amount of dice in this game that was in Bones. Kind of trade that for chips.
Right.
But yeah, with dice we're including a full tray, so you'll have lots of room to expand. So anyways, yes, the answer is we will have the possibility of fitting most, if not all, the preference would be all add-on content that we have right now into the box.
Hey, we've reached 1,000 backers.
Hey, that's awesome.
That is 1%.
Wow.
We're at the 1% mark of our total backers now.
What?
Probably not.
I like that though.
Yeah, exactly,
I like that,
right?
though.
Yeah. One step closer to 100,000 backers.
Yeah. All right, Justin. Oh, let's talk about this. Yes. Have we discovered the issues with the 10 gram versus 11.5 gram chips? Yeah. Yes, we have. Will this be defined one way or another for UT? So what we did initially when we found out about that was we changed the website. I think that's all been updated to like at least pulled the 11.5 gram.
There's a couple things I
Still haven't done
I'll
that.
update it, yeah.
The intent is to take that part off the website so that we're not promoting the 11.5 gram until we get that fully resolved. From what we can tell right now, and we're going to make a post, but obviously we've been tied up with the campaign. But we do have some new information, or at least I do. The manufacturer got back to us. They said that they did a testing of all of the metal inserts to the chips, and they found that the last run of those was significantly lighter, and they were I have to say I do believe them that they were as surprised as we were, and they had a similar response to it as us. Like I was explaining, like you understand we're Chip Theory Games, and this is like when we order 3mm mats, like we expect them to be 3mm, and we're not always checking them every run to make sure that didn't change. Lesson learned, we will now, but unfortunately that's something that now is on our radar that we have to always be checking. It was more of you order 16mm dice, you expect 16mm dice, you paid for 16mm dice. So like those types of things, we talked about it, and they're willing to basically, they're going to be updating all new orders for us to the 11.5 gram. I don't know if they're trashing or just using the 10 gram inserts for other chips, but like all new orders will be at the 11.5 gram again. that doesn't mean that they're able to do anything for what has come at this lighter weight. So unfortunately, there's not anything we can do to replace those. It would be just, it would sink us in terms of, like cost-wise to try to resolve that in any other way than to, just be like, we're aware of it, we're going to improve it going forward.
Yeah, it's important to note that this batch of metal inserts did not just impact us.
Oh, right.
It
Well, yeah,
impacted
no, it was a lot of...
Many
Yeah.
companies were impacted.
Yeah.
This is a much bigger thing than just Chip Theory Games'
Correct.
startup chips.
Correct. Yeah.
So we're just one of a number of companies that are trying to get back to the manufacturer and correct the issue. So,
Yep. Yep. So we can. That's
Yeah.
probably enough on
Yeah.
it for now. But we'll continue that discussion with everyone
Yeah.
as we find stuff.
What's the main difference between each faction? And can you talk more about co-op and solo mode? And then the next question is, can you describe how solo will play? We touched a little bit on it. I don't know. Do you want to talk about? Do you want to mention what makes the Aurora unique a little bit and what makes Airs unique?
Yeah. I mean, I can give you a little bit of the differences between the factions. I went into it a little bit with the Brannin, but so with the Aurora, you're going to find that that your differences come in. I would say they're going to be one of the more challenging races to play because you have more options available to you right from the start. So with the Aurora, you're actually deciding which side of these minion chips you're going to be bringing out, and some of them can, when they get hit, they kind of turn ethereal, or they kind of ghost, and they can move through other units and whatnot.
They sort of have a polarity mechanic a little bit depending on which side you deploy them with.
Yeah. So they're very the lore behind it is that they were a race of humans at one point that kind of just indulged in the Source to the point where it started to take them over and actually deteriorate their bodies, and now their bodies are mostly made up of Source. So their energy, or becoming energy, and so some have a little bit of physical form still, while others are dispersed. And so they have, some of the units can explode when triggered at different times. They play very, very differently than, for instance, the Grove Tenders, which are units that can kind of change or morph, not really morph, but like the little tenders can construct larger Grove Tender beings using Source, but right during play. So while they're not upgrading themselves, they're actually adding units to their numbers, kind of depending on how things are going in the battle. The Brannin are much more about fortress defenses and spires. They've got a fair amount of upgrading that they can do to both of those. When minions do make it to your castle or your fortress and end up hitting it, there's an amount of damage that's done back to that minion that's just innate to every fortress. With the Brannin, you're able to upgrade that, whereas you're not able to do that with some of the other factions. So, and then I don't know. The heirs have a lot of differences about them. It's kind of playing into the lore. They've got a caste system in place, and so not all of them can fly. But the flying units are definitely a big part of their strategy, and that will come to play, especially with the heroes who can go pretty much anywhere. So you've got your minions that follow the path. Flying units are still important when they're flying on the path because you've got only certain spires can attack air units, but yeah, the heroes can literally fly over any kind of terrain, and so that becomes really useful in kind of jogging and going around, dodging spires and getting to some of those points of interest that will get you ahead. I mean, I could go on forever. Yeah. So
that's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff there that obviously we'll be covering in more detail as we go. As Josh said, we already I think have one of the longer Kickstarter pages that I've ever seen. Maybe Undertow was a little bit longer, but we omitted almost an entire section late. I keep wanting to say last night. It was early this morning. So we'll be going into a lot more detail on that stuff. A lot more detail on all the phases of the game as well.
And co-op and solo especially,
correct.
We'll have a lot more to say on that. So not dodging that, just I want to get through them all, and there's a lot of questions to answer here. So touched on the difference between the factions, and we're coming with a fair amount of content on co-op and solo. So wait for that.
Yeah.
All right, do you want to take this one? I got it.
Yeah.
So 13 NRV says, could we have a max size of a map? Great question. You know what? I should actually measure this out and give you the exact specifications, but it's, if you see, the pieces are very similar size hexes as we have for Hoplo, but essentially what you're looking at end to end for a traditional map layout is going to be probably somewhere between 2 and 2.5 feet.
Still blocked a little bit.
I don't know if you can
this
see
way.
it.
Yeah, we
2.5
need to come this
feet.
way. I'm sorry.
But it's important to note that one of the cool things about our games is because of all the information on the chips, we don't have a lot of reference cards that you need. We've got a reference sheet, and we've got a little bit of a market going on the side here. So we're definitely sensitive to those who have smaller play surfaces, but it's certainly going to be very attractive because the vast majority of the game this time is the board, the map, and this is where all the action happens. So what you're looking at right now is, I know you can't see the very end of it, but I'm looking at it.
That would be the max.
It's, yes,
you know.
it's definitely under 3 feet, but let me post map sizes and probably suggested play area somewhere on the campaign very soon. All right.
One thing to just note is your fortress is kind of, again, like we mentioned, it's like your gearlock mat, for instance, and so it's now part of the board. You're playing on it. You have dice on it. It has representation there, and then there's one little thing that may attach in some way or have, you know, that you have in front of you, a tracker, some relics, an event card, but those can kind of sit on either side of this. Because that one's kind of sticks out from the main game area. So it's not too crazy, and I don't think it increases too much the size of like from what you had with Bones. So
we just got an update. We're over $200,000 finally.
Wow.
Guys, that is unbelievable.
Awesome.
We don't have a number in front of us.
Yeah.
We're
our monitor. We have a monitor right over here, but it's gone dark. So we're trusting.
Wow, that's
we're trusting
incredible.
that people are continuing to back. So
that's awesome.
Yes.
Okay, so Robert Haddon asks, CTG is now doing miniatures. Are you guys feeling good about the manufacturing of these? Often gaming companies stumble a bit when first getting into miniature production. We're feeling terrible about it, incidentally. So, no. It's a new thing. It's a new thing. So we've been, Josh has been hiding this underneath the table.
Well, again, this is just inception, you know, like this is just the very, very, very beginning. And it's true, like the conversations that we've had are, you know, we have this, we have set a standard for all of our components, and now we're trying to move into a space that we've never moved into before, that we're not absolutely familiar with. And so that, I mean, like there's definitely a challenge there, and we're not gonna claim to be like that it's going to be absolutely perfect and better than everyone else from out of the gates, but we're gonna try. We're gonna try. And like if you know anything about like the nature of Chip Theory games, like we usually will pull out the stops for those upgrades if we can at all afford it. So as we learn, again, what was interesting about the minis was, you know, forever we have not felt like we needed minis. The minis are something that we only wanted to do if they promoted or elevated the chip. I mean, like
literally,
literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
But you know, so like the idea was that we wanted to raise that up because that was another add to the visual. But yet it's stationary because these are the spires. So you weren't going to be moving them around. They have a little. This is a very, very light 3D printing.
Yeah. So to be clear, this is one of the earlier prototypes. But obviously you can see the activity going on now. It's thematically perfect. You know, you've got the spires. They're up high. They're, you know, shooting at the minions down below, and we just saw a wonderful, wonderful opportunity we could not pass up in terms of making sure that this game was visually a home run.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question though. Like obviously we will be tapping people in the industry that are you know, masters at this, and we won't make any assumptions going into it. But yeah, it is new.
We are comfortable with our manufacturer. For
Correct.
them.
Correct.
And this is an early sculpt. We didn't go all in on the sculpts until we got a quote and knew that we could actually afford to do it and afford to offer them at what we felt was a pretty reasonable price. So, and just to be clear, every faction, it will be 6 identical spires. So the heirs will all look similar to this once it's fully fleshed out and textured and everything. And then it also that minis pack does include 6 spires for the Grige, the 5th faction as well. So you don't have to buy those separately if you go all in. All right, thank you all,
Thanks
and
again,
we'll see you in the
everyone.
comments.
Yep. All right. See ya.